This goes back to the start of the Soviet Union in terms of this notion of intelligence operations not being one dimensional. So in the West, we tend to think of intelligence operations are unidirectional, at least classically, in that they're about collecting information. In Russia and in the Soviet Union, the KGB was always, on some level, split onto two dimensions of information campaigns. There was information collection and information dispersal. Like this was just a cut and dry that these were seen as two different arms of exactly the same operations, which while the West certainly does engage and has engaged throughout the 20th century in propaganda and disinformation and what have you, it was never particularly systematized in terms of this equal partner of one's the left hand, one's the right hand. And sort of in somewhat defense of the Russian perspective there, we can also pinpoint a lot of stuff that the United States did during the Cold War in terms of pushing disinformation in the developing world, also in terms of sponsoring newspapers and information operations, even if it wasn't classified as a full-fledged arm of the CIA the way that the KGB did, in terms of pushing narratives and pushing propaganda throughout the developing world. In conversation with some individuals over the last 5 years or so, this has been one thing that has been a somewhat of a surprise to Western intelligence officers who, in the wake of 2016, expected overwhelming shock and support from allies in the developing world when revelations of what Russia had done in the election came out. And the reaction was far more muted from the perspective of, well, you've been doing that in our backyard for the last 100 years. And so what's really changed here is that the internet has made it so that way it's something that can be used to effectively target developed countries, whereas previously this was fundamentally a weapon that developed countries could deploy elsewhere.